What, no candy? No flowers?
My deputy told me you were coming and why, so you can just turn right around. Whatever the hell happened at that school, my son didn't do it.
Sheriff, we'd like to ask your son a few questions, if that's okay.
The boy's sick. The doctors can't even say what's wrong with him.
Well, Max could tell them. You know why he collapsed, don't you, Max?
Yeah, too much teen spirit.
You think? Smells like murder to me.
Welcome to Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. I'm Chex, and I'm joined as ever by Luke, my trusty co-host. How are you doing, Luke?
I'm actually here today.
You are here. It makes a nice change. God, we had technical issues last week.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, because it's touch wood. It seems to be okay today. But last week you just did not want to play ball, did you?
Yeah, we've literally just started this podcast at a rush, thinking it's working. Let's just go and do this.
Yeah.
It has brought up a challenging experience now, where I've got to now review an episode I watched about 2 weeks ago. So That's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a new interesting dynamic. So it's going to be very hazy, I think. There's not going to be a lot of detail, I think, but we've had more chance to mull it over. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to go.
I mean, I'd argue what's different from usual. Hazy details, not knowing what we're talking about.
Hey, maybe this is better. Maybe I used to listen to. Get ready for the siren. I used to listen to a Lost podcast, and it was called, I believe it was called Getting Lost. Much very similar to what we do. And to be fair, one of my main influences for wanting to start a podcast, because I liked the fact that they did it just because they wanted to hang out and watch Lost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, very similar to what we do. A great podcast. Definitely check them out if you get a chance. And you're interested in Lost, of course. There's not much X-Files content. But yeah, I remember once they finished their episode week by week rundowns, they started doing snapshots where they would watch 2 to 3 episodes, and then there would be a half-hour podcast about those 3 episodes. So they did a second season review going through, but it was just big idea thoughts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I thought, that's...
Yeah.
And you do get an interesting, different perspective, because you're not looking at each episode, breaking it down, analysing. What you're actually doing is you're just taking sort of feelings and key moments, and you can actually get a really interesting sort of different take on it.
It's not a bad idea for when we finish this, actually, is sort of just going through and sort of picking out, because obviously when we finished it all, we'll know, I hope we know everything about the conspiracy, what's called the mythology. So hopefully we'll know everything there. And we can sort of mull over that as a whole thing, and the big concepts of it, and maybe the Mulder and Scully relationship, or different stuff like that. Maybe we could just do the similar kind of thing.
I think with the X-Files is quite unique, because what you could do is season by season just watch the mythology episodes. So watch season 1 mythology episodes, which would be I'd imagine 5, 6, 7 episodes. Watch them all in a chunk, and then we review season 1 mythology, and we'll just have a mythology run through. I'd be interested to see how that changes the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you literally just it'd fly by as well. I'm sure it'd probably just be.
I worry it would take all the fun out of the show though as well.
Yeah, because there's definitely there's episodes we talked about it a few weeks back with Hungry. It's not an important episode in the grand scheme of things, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't want to lose episodes like that.
And you wouldn't want it to be heavy all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always do enjoy people figuring out new ways to watch things, and it's essentially keeping their love for things alive. And I think stuff like that, it basically lets you enjoy it again for the first time because you're doing it differently, or you're doing it from a different perspective. I'm sure, again... with Lost being a good example for us, I'm sure you've seen the chronological watch through.
I've not watched it, but yeah, I've definitely heard about it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm
I've
really interested to try it out.
I've not watched it myself that way either, but again, I think that's fascinating. And
I saw videos of it. It's just a wild way to watch it, where it literally starts with like them. I mean, this is massive spoilers, but it literally starts with like Jacob and the man in black just like floating around in the sea, and it's like, what is going on?
No context. All the flashbacks happen before you even get to the island. Like really insane stuff. But again, how great's that? And that's what I think. That's the sort of fandom that X-Files has as well, which is it's just trying to find new ways to keep this show alive and different ways to enjoy it, which I think is awesome.
I think like a lot of fandoms have got stuff like that, because there's like the Star Wars, what is it, the Machete cut, where you watch what is it, episode? God, I can't even remember now.
So it's episode, I believe,
is it 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6? Is it?
Not 1.
Not 1.
I believe it's 2 and 3 as flashbacks. So you watch 4, 5, watch 2 and 3 as flashbacks films, and then watch 6. I've got no idea how the new sequels fit into that cut.
They go right at the end.
Star Wars is the worst thing to talk about with, though, because it's the worst fan base. Like, I love Star Wars, but no one hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans. That's the problem.
Yeah,
so.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, we've talked about this a lot recently, where there's just like this. There seems to be this like love to kick Star Wars things, just for no apparent reason. They'll pull them apart for like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everything is amazing that they do, but they'll literally be like, oh, this was rubbish, so that makes everything about this entire thing rubbish. And it's like, I mean, you didn't like that one tiny thing. It's why I kind of like X-Files fans, is we've heard that this later series aren't great, but X-Files fans don't bother watching X-Files because 2 series aren't very good, or 1 series isn't very good.
Point. It is such a good point, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a, this is getting very philosophical here, but I think these days people are too quick to just throw something out as not worthwhile if there's a slight blemish to it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas, I think everything should be judged on merit of what you experience at the time. It's kind of like with Game of Thrones. We mentioned that as well.
Yeah, I also think it can be taken a step further, and I think wild that we got into this conversation. But I also think it can be taken a step further, because I think there's also an aspect of gatekeeping, of wanting this show to be yours. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't want to speak for both of us. That is not the experience I've had with X-Files. Like, everyone I've spoke to, and let's be very clear about this. At the start of the show, me and you knew nothing. We probably made a fool of ourselves so many times. But yet, everyone was so welcoming and just so excited that we're going on that journey. Whereas I think there are other franchises, such as Star Wars, where the fandom tends to have this sort of like, this is ours and we don't want it to change, and we don't want new people to change it. Yeah,
exactly. There's nothing worse than fans who don't want something to grow. They're like, no, we need to keep it and protect it. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, if the new thing that's released is not to your flavour, just ignore it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just love what you like.
And if you have that attitude, then maybe someday you will get 2 guys in their late 30s, 20 years after the show's out, stumbling their way through a review podcast.
Exactly. That's the best way to do it.
Speaking of, shall we get to this week's episode?
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't rush the intro.
So this week we're going to be looking at Season 7, Episode 5, titled Rush. It came out on December 5th, 1999. Written by David Amann and directed by Robert Lieberman. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a weird one, Luke, because I am struggling to remember the structure of this. We're going to be very sort of like big ideas, big picture men today, okay?
Yeah. It's I've got some notes, but I'm trying to, because I write my notes just expecting that I'll know what they reference.
Well, because usually we watch it the night before we record, or the day of recording, or something like that. Not this time.
Yeah, so I have a note written down here. I mean, it's fairly obvious what it's in reference to, but I just wrote bad flash, Now, that's quite a vague note to make, but when we get to that point, I'm sure it'll come out. So,
okay, so what we get is we're in the woods and we see basically three teenagers meeting up. One that doesn't seem to know the other two, so there's a guy and a girl, and the one doesn't seem to know, or at least is not as familiar with them. It feels like you get the impression that like this is a dare or some sort of initiation right off the bat.
You know it's some sketchy teenage stuff is going on because they ignored the warning signs to stay out. They just went straight through them. I think they ran one of them over, didn't they, or something like that?
Yeah, they're basically, it's made very clear that they're not supposed to be here, and all the conversation at the start is like Anthony, the kid that's sort of unfamiliar with them, is basically like nervous. He doesn't know whether he should be there, and the others are like saying it's going to be fine, just don't tell anyone. And they do start to get a little bit threatening as well, especially Max, which is the boyfriend. That it's not long before they're interrupted by a police cruiser, and as they are, Anthony looks behind him and realizes that Max and his girlfriend Chastity are nowhere to be seen. They've completely disappeared. He's left there on his own to cop for this. And as the policeman's interviewing him, asking what he's doing here, he says this happens all the time. We always get kids running through here. There's just like I don't even know how is it like that's the Flash, isn't it? It's just all of a sudden it just happens where
you just hear like a crunch and just like a
nothing's happened. All we see is the flashlight rolling towards Anthony's feet, and then we go to the intro. What did you think of this at the start?
We see his face as well, don't we? Like just smashed in.
I don't think you see that until afterwards.
Do you not?
Okay. I was very.
This is again where we're like, I don't remember.
We should see. I mean, you know what? The problem is, we should see how different this would be if we just sort of like read like a 2-sentence synopsis and just make it up, because that's basically what it feels like when you haven't seen the episode.
Oh God, that's
for 2 weeks.
That's a good idea. You literally just theorize. We should do that. Do you know how like we sometimes do it from the title of the episode right at the end? We should try and guess what happens in the episode based off of the synopsis.
Beautiful. That's the kind of podcast I want to listen to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, the intro. What did you think? What was your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was. It's hard to separate the intro from the rest of the episode because it kind of, I don't know. It felt like a bit of a weak setup, if you know what I mean. Like it's just, I don't know. It felt very run of the mill. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, I mean, it intrigued me. Don't get me wrong. Like there was like enough to go on where you go, oh, I wonder what has actually happened here. But I don't know. Nothing stuck out that was different from your typical X-File episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I think it's something as simple as like when the setting's dark woods. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it already gets implanted into your head of like this is treading ground. Do you know what I mean?
We've been here a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that the episode is going to be bad, or even it's not going to be great. But I think it definitely does put that sort of doubt in your mind right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely.
After the intro, Mulder and Scully do turn up and they examine the body, which we now find out has basically been bludgeoned to death with this flashlight. The flashlight's got blood all over it, and it's also got Anthony's fingerprints on. I thought great graphics, great visual effects here, because I thought the corpse looked like brutal.
Yeah, they seem to have nailed like the practical effects going forward. Like they're still ropey with some visual effects, and I think they try and like flex the budget a bit, and it doesn't. The technology hasn't caught up with it, I guess, yet. So when they do like visual effects, which surprisingly actually is quite well done in this episode, like the visual effects they do use. But the practical effects of like the caved in face of this man is it looks really like gory and visceral. I like as well just the you can kind of get the sense of where the plot's going as well from the beginning, because they
and the title.
Well, yeah, the title gives it away. Because Scully's basically saying, to do this to a person, you'd have had to like basically just repeatedly beat them with it, and Mulder basically sort of explains that no, this was one hit that did this.
He also lifts the head up and makes Scully feel the back of it, and it's gone through both sides of the skull.
Yeah, and there's like glasses sticking out the back of his head, basically, where it's punched them through. Yeah, which again is just. This is, I mean, I'm jumping forward. The reason why I wrote Bad Flash is this is basically DC's The Flash if it was given to the shittiest teenager going.
Yeah,
and there's parts of me that like The Boys is like a big TV series at the moment of like what if superheroes were in the real world, and it's like probably not great for real people. And I always think I like these kind of stories where like you have like somebody has superpowers and it's like this is probably what 99% of people would be like, is just a horrible people.
There's a lot of horrible people in the world, and I don't understand why people assume that if someone got superpowers, they would be any different.
Yeah.
Or
not many people.
Just be an exaggeration of their horrible self, for those certain people.
They're not going to turn into Captain America just because they get super strength. More likely, they're just going to become a tyrant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you said, Scully theorizing, especially theorizing Anthony wants to talk to his friends. Anthony's saying nothing. He's been brought in. He's in a cell, but he's not saying anything. Mulder is basically suggesting that the only thing that could do this is some sort of spirit. He thinks it's a spirit of some sort, or a ghost, or some sort of supernatural force.
Yeah, I like this, and obviously in the next episode, they have a running theme of Mulder actually being wrong with his initial theory. Usually he's spot on. Like his first theory will be something that Scully debunks straight away. But in this episode and obviously the next one, he's completely off the mark with what he's saying. Like it takes him a and I quite like this now that we've got. They're not just outright saying, "Oh, that's stupid," because that doesn't exist. It's like, well, how would that happen? We've seen stuff like this before. How will it be different? And so it's actually now using it's kind of modified how they debunk his theories now, which is
allows them to figure it out together as well.
Yes, yeah.
Because you still need Mulder to introduce an X-File. You still need Mulder to tell Scully why this is an X-File, because at the end of the day, that's not her expertise. It's not her field of expertise. But so what you do is, it's a clever way around it, to be honest. What you do is you say, Mulder comes in and goes, this is an X-File because this is a ghost. Scully turns around and goes, I don't think it's a ghost. I think it's this sort of a normal situation. And then they both figure it out together. And it's not Mulder just figuring out the case before Scully can even get involved.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like the natural evolution of the X-Files of like getting to the point where they're not saying something is definitely not an X-File. They're actually just trying to find out, well, let's meet us in the middle. Let's see what we can discern about this case, without just going straight to the paranormal. Which, I mean, it kind of is paranormal anyway, with this thing that gives them the power. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Also, did you note, it probably isn't mentioned in the sort of rundown of the episode, but when they go in to speak to, what's the kid's name? Not Anthony. Max. Anthony, yeah. Max's girlfriend is walking out, Chastity, and Mulder sort of turns around and looks like, kind of like your classic Mulder's like being a bit of a lech.
Yeah.
And I wrote literally before that happened, I wonder if they'll reference the kiss at all. Now, not really. They don't reference it, but he looks at that girl, and Mulder's kind of, Scully's kind of like, what the hell? What are you doing? You know what I mean?
I didn't even notice, actually, because Chastity kind of like gives him a flirtatious look as well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I didn't actually pick up on Mulder's reaction to her, or Scully's reaction to Mulder, but there is definitely a noticeable gap in this episode where this kiss that we waited for so long, like we almost predicted, is basically it's like it never happened.
Yeah, to a degree. I think that might be, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I think that might be a subtle reference, is that Scully kind of was a bit like, what are you doing? But that could easily be, you're old enough to be a dad kind of thing, do you know what I mean? Like,
which, well within her rights to make that assessment, 100%. Because it is creepy. I don't know what the rules are. Like, I think this could be getting onto dangerous ground, but because American schools are different, right?
Because high school, I think, is up till when you're 18, I think, or something.
I'm not even going to pretend to know how American schools work, because I know our college is still part of their school. So I know it's like 18 or 21 or whatever.
No, you have middle school, junior high, high school, and then I don't know where they did the sort of years splits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not a clue. I don't really know how it works, but I know that you can be of age in school. Still feels really creepy, and I don't know whether that's acceptable. Like, maybe it is. I always think back to have you ever seen you definitely have seen Pineapple Express?
Yes, yeah.
And Seth Rogen's a character in that. He's in his late 30s, early 40s, and he's dating a girl in high school.
Yeah.
And that just feels wild to me, because these schools look exactly like our schools, but when we was in school, we was 15.
Yeah. Also dating a woman in high school who is now probably one of the most infamous women in the world at the time.
Let's not get into that discourse.
Yeah. That is just one wild story.
So, it is creepy. I don't really know what the original point was there, but apart from saying maybe just don't flirt with high school girls.
Yeah. There's a difference between legal and kind of creepy stuff. Morally wrong. I don't know. Maybe we're prudes. Maybe that's what it is. We got sticks up our butt.
You know what? As long you know what? I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
It's not my bag. Whatever. So yes, I think I already said that. Basically, they're getting nothing from Anthony in this interview. Yeah. They quiz him on were other people there, and he basically keeps stum. He doesn't want anyone to know about Max or Chastity. But he's very upset. He is very upset, and he's very worked up about this, because I think it was Mulder that says to him that he's looking at real time here, because if they can't figure out what it is, the police chief has got a murder weapon with his fingerprints on it, and he was at the scene of the crime. This doesn't look good for him.
Basically, yeah, he's kind of there's no way of it for him. Yeah, but yeah, he's toeing the line of what he's been told to do, of keeping quiet on everything. But yeah, if he does keep quiet, then it's not going to pan out well for him.
Yeah. All the while as well, we have this sort of side story of the chief of police. I think he's the chief of police, or at least he's the policeman investigating this case. Who seems very, very, very keen to wrap this case up. Got the murder weapon. Got the guy that did it. It's an open and shut case. Let's get this done. We find out later that it's actually the father of Max, who was the other kid at the scene. So that's an interesting sort of side story throughout this episode.
Do you think they're hinting at the fact that, obviously he didn't realise until later on when he goes snooping.
Yeah.
But do you think he knows his son is a bit of a bit of a wrong un, maybe, and he knows that they hang out, so maybe he's just trying to think, let's just, it's this guy, and then he can stay away from my son. You know what I mean? Yeah,
possibly, because it feels strange to put this storyline in there, doesn't it? Because Max didn't need to be his son for him to think this was an open and shut case, and there's a lot of. It would have been perfectly plausible if he had no relation to anybody, and he still thought this was open and shut. Yeah. So maybe this was put in there to. I also think it was put in there as a little bit of a contrast to Max. Mm-hmm. And if you look at both of these people, they're very similar. They're very stubborn. They're very righteous. They believe what they are doing is the right thing. But I forget the name of his dad. But Max's dad, the chief,
Sergeant Max dad. There we go.
There we go, Sergeant Max dad. He still, when push comes to shove, does the right thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe it's put in there as a parallel because Max, however, when given this power, has the same personality but doesn't have the ability to choose the right path.
Yeah.
But again, you do feel like sometimes maybe you're just looking too far into this, and maybe you're putting content where content's not there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe. I always think if we're thinking that there's somebody who has also had that thought, maybe on the production staff, so maybe like not explicitly but subtly they've sort of hinted at that.
Yeah.
But who knows? Yeah, maybe you are looking too deep into it.
Maybe during the script read through, someone went, and I could be his dad.
Yeah.
And they went, that's a great idea.
Yeah. They just literally started scribbling out his name on the get him a uniform. I imagine that's how it works at the script read through. They just do rewrites constantly because people just keep chirping up with ideas.
It's improv. It's basically improv. X-Files is notoriously improv.
Yeah, I guess so. We heard there's definitely scenes they have improv I've heard of. It's mainly Mulder and Scully get to do the improv. That's about it.
Yeah, and it's usually like little offbeats in the dialogue rather than main storylines.
Yeah. I don't know too many shows that do that. But
imagine this was meant to be a cop show, and the first episode, David Duchovny went off script, and now it's an alien show.
Yeah, it's like, so I'm hunting these aliens, and like Chris Carter's flipping through the script, like, where were these?
Well, it's filmed now.
We can't edit it out.
Get that coffin open, take that person out, put a monkey in.
God, what a callback.
Oh, dearie me.
I every now and again I think back to that episode, the very first episode, and we thought that it looked like a monkey, dead monkey that they'd stuffed in there. What a wild time. We've come a long way.
We certainly have. It's I'm still yet to go back to listen to that. Don't think I want to.
It's slow. I'll say that.
Speaking of slow, we need to get through this. So Mulder and Scully, not Mulder and Scully. We'll go back a few moments. Anthony is suddenly released because the murder weapon goes missing. Mm-hmm. It's no longer in evidence. Mulder and Scully review the footage, and they can't see how it happened. The chief doesn't know what's going on. So they end up taking this back to an analyst at the FBI, who slows it down, uses his super-duper computer to find that in one frame there's a blur, but it's one frame. There's no way it could have been a person. However, what they do is they use a program that something to do with color.
Adds color to it.
Which this is wild. This.
Do you know what? I would have a few weeks ago. I'd say that's bullshit. Where's this technology come from? And it still probably was not possible then. But me and Tash bought a camera the other day, one of these Ring cameras.
Oh yeah.
And it has infrared mode on it, and it said colorize night vision. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Clicked it. It's not great, but
it's close enough to this.
It does color in stuff this is wildly vivid, whereas this is just it lights the night sky up slightly blue. The grass is kind of green. I was like, oh, that's actually that cool that it does that. It can match the colors automatically. I don't think they had it in 1999.
Hey,
maybe
this is the FBI, so
true,
you know what?
True.
I'm sold on this.
Yeah,
fair enough. They match a few colors, and it matches the rest of the picture with those colors. And they figure out the blur kind of looks like the school colours of the varsity jackets that they wear.
Yeah, because we saw that earlier when they were going through the school. I can't remember why they were going through the school again. Oh, they were looking for the evidence, weren't they? Or they were going to talk to...
They were talking to Anthony, weren't they?
Yeah, that was it, yeah. They managed to find this. Also, it's nice to see Chuck, isn't it? The guy who's doing the the analyzing. He's not been in it for a while. He was in an episode. I cannot remember the episode.
I think it was the end of last season.
It was the end of last season, yeah, because he was analysing the hieroglyphs, or not hieroglyphs, whatever, Navajo in it, like the Navajo language, or on the thing, yeah. So I was like, oh, it's nice to see, like, obviously we lost Pendrell a while ago, so we do need that kind of the genius character who just sort of pops in and gives them a bit of exposition every now and again.
Well, so once they've got this information to hand, basically, I think this is where you sort of get the idea that Mulder, and again, I think we as an audience kind of know what this is about, but the title alone helps us sort of figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of little hints towards it. Like him appearing out of nowhere constantly all the time. So I think Mulder starts to figure this out when he sees the colours of the jacket. But then we get it full force right in front of us when Max gets accused of cheating by a teacher that we know he doesn't get along with. We've already seen he doesn't get along with. And he gets accused of cheating because when he does his exam, he does it in a second. He literally gets all the right answers. And I'm just like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, at least try and pretend like, you know.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of showboating.
Yeah. But later on, when the teacher confronts him about it, Max embarrasses him in the lunchroom. He's throwing chairs around. And what he ends up doing is he's like tripping him over and whatnot. And the kids are laughing and like everyone's like, it's causing a scene. But then he throws or pushes or however he does it using this speed. And all we can see is Max stood there, but you get the sense that he's moving around the room at the same time.
Yeah.
And he gets pushed into the wall and this chair gets shoved basically into him with a lot of force.
Yeah, I wonder if he threw it and he's like, because you know, obviously, if he can hit somebody super fast and cave him in, he can like do that. Or did he throw it, or did he just literally run it in with it? Yeah, I wonder if he did that. Who knows?
Either way, from our perspective, all we see is him stood there, so it's like happening within half a second, less than milliseconds. I thought this was a really good scene, to be honest. I thought this was brutal, and I thought I like something that makes you think about like what's possible with these like powers or supernatural abilities and whatnot. And this sort of goes, oh, yeah, if it's in the wrong hands, this is not fun. Like, it's just not a cool power, you know what I mean?
That's the thing. And also at this point, I was thinking, where's the kryptonite coming in that's going to stop this? Because there's no way that they can stop this kid, you know what I mean? Like, he's unstoppable to a normal human being. Like, there's no way he's going to do this. So yeah, I was confused as to how they were going to resolve this, and they do have a good way of doing it later on, which I thought was interesting. This like kind of calm down that he has off this, where he gets, I don't know, it's kind of like powered up like a battery or something.
Well, we'll do broad strokes because I don't remember like exactly scene for scene, but they do go on later on in the episode when they get x-rays and they get like sort of, they figure out what's going on inside of him, that he's basically tearing his muscles at a ridiculous rate. He's got the injuries of a 90-year-old athlete.
Yeah, it's because he collapses, doesn't he? It's after he's done this, I think he collapses, doesn't he?
That's right, yeah. And he's putting his body through so much strain because the human body basically wasn't meant to put up with this amount of like, I don't
speed even, and then like
speed,
the activity,
lack of a better term. And so it's interesting. Like he has to recover from that, which again, I like that. I like the idea that like, let's put this to use. Like it's like the idea of, you probably heard the age-old debate of like, oh, teleportation would be cool. Yeah, it would, but how would you know that you're not going to teleport into somebody and fuse with somebody else, because you don't know if someone's walking past that spot that you're teleporting to. It's like it's a brain exercise, it's a logic exercise of like going, okay, this power would be cool, but actually, what does that power mean? What could the downsides be? And I like that side of things.
There's again, not to be recommending other shows again, but talking about The Boys, there's a bit with that, kind of like with the speed thing. There's a character in that who is basically this. He's a guy who's super fast, but does it and uses it to the wrong effect. Like, he just like tries to set athletic records and stuff and show people up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where he's just running through town because he's trying to get somewhere and accidentally hits somebody, and it's like being hit with a plane or something like that, and they just explode. And it's like, that's what it's like having these powers in the real world would be like. Yeah, if you teleported in somebody, you'd probably just cut them in two or something, I guess.
Yeah. I do think that makes for interesting thought experiments. So I I like the fact that they go into that. Like I say, that is later on in the episode, but it's fine. Yeah. We'll jump around. We've got the cave. We need to talk about the cave.
Yeah.
You know what? This is quite funny because I'm gonna slate this episode now for the cave.
Yeah.
Right? The cave I thought was stupid. I didn't like it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some smart ass out there is going to say, but Chex, your favourite show is Lost.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're not wrong.
You got a point.
It's a valid criticism because that is a big, big point in Lost. But it works in Lost. It doesn't work in this.
No, the thing, I guess with Lost, this buzz is going to get over time tonight. Sorry, everyone's ears. I will turn it down this time. Yeah, I think with that, because they build everything up as this mysterious, like, mythological force, like, it's never really explained, and they kind of say it's beyond explanation, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of do the groundwork for that. Whereas this is just like, yeah, there's a bit of light in the ground and this bit of metal that like just gives you super strength and super speed, and it's like there's a difference between a little bit of explanation to go. We've said this before. The what's his name? Not Drive. Was it called Drive? The episode with Bryan Cranston in.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I think he was called Drive, but I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, the episode with Bryan Cranston that had a tiny bit of science in to explain how this thing was, going to kill him. It probably makes no sense in actual science. Like, if you pull it apart, it's probably absolutely crap. Like,
but you've given us enough to buy in.
Yeah. With this, it's literally just, they stand there, they get superpowers, and it's like, how? Like, why? What is this? Like, is it like a government thing? Is it an alien thing? Is it?
It annoyed me so much because it was just, oh, this happened. I mean, let me just get this out of the way. Anthony follows Chastity because Chastity's going to get the powers to get him out of hospital. That's basically
basically.
And we get this like, oh my god, it's the cave, and with this light, okay. The way they get out of it, because I was just like thinking to myself, oh, so anyone can go in, and they explain later, maybe it's hormones, maybe you've got to be like a hormonal teen to get these powers.
Which even that I would buy, you know what I mean? Like, that is fine. Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine with that. Only hormonal teens can get these powers. Oh, we need to run tests. Can't. They've concreted it up. Why? Why would you have done that? Like, there's no reason. It's evidence. Like, why would you have done that?
I don't know.
Why would you have done that so quickly without the FBI's permission? The FBI who are running the case.
To play devil's advocate, maybe.
No devil's advocate. No devil's advocate. This is stupid and it doesn't make sense.
Right, I am agreeing with you there, but to play devil's advocate, maybe this is something that the government already knows about or they've sort of done, and then it's got blown up in their face and they go, okay, we need to cover this up because we've ballsed up here, basically. That's the only reason I can think of for concreting in. But that is never once explained.
So you're saying to me, in this scenario, right, the government agent who's in charge of the Cave of the Light, and he gets an email and it says, I've got to close down the Cave of the Light. And he goes, what? I've been working on this for God. And then they go, well, a couple of kids got into it, didn't they? And then they've caused havoc. It's like, we put up signs saying not to go in.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And they did anyway. Concrete it up.
Get the concrete. Oh, that's a waste of 20 years.
Again, I'm not saying it's a good explanation, but that is literally the only thing I can think of. But again, there's no hint at that, apart from a sign saying keep out. That's literally it. And it's like, why keep out? What? If they'd have said... I don't know, like even dropped a line in somewhere saying, "Oh yeah, the Department of Energy was in the area 20 years ago or something like that." If they'd have even said that at the beginning, or while they were talking about it, we go, "Oh, okay, so the Department of Energy have done something that's got out. This is all." Then you can kind of go, "Okay, I can tie it all together." In this case, it's literally just it's a magic bloody baseball plate that's in the ground that gives people superpowers, and it's like, what is this?
Just put like do something like. What do they usually do with like magnetism? Have like a chain fly off somebody and like fly to the cave, and it's like, oh, the Earth's magnetism might have converged in this exact way. That don't just tell me it's a light in a cave. Don't tell me it's a light in a cave, okay?
Yeah, I know. It was really frustrating, and to be honest, like it's not helping an already quite average episode, you know what I mean, get out of being just average. That's kind of, that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for me of this episode, is that they didn't even explain how or why these things were happening.
Well, let's get through the end of the episode. I mean, as I'm going through, I'm remembering stuff that I've missed, and Mulder figures out that it's speed because he finds all of his shoes. He's got like 10 of the same shoes, and they're all like burnt up from the speed he's running.
I think his dad finds the shoes, doesn't he? But we see his dad finds the shoes, but Mulder finds the material on the melted shoes, like on the it's where the evidence has gone missing, and then they link that together later on.
Yeah, and there was also that scene where for the audience where Max is driving Tony down the road at like high speeds, and he drives into a barrier, but like speeds him out before he can get into trouble. So again, everyone's sort of on the same page at this point. Chastity with the speed powers that she got from the Cave of the Light. She gets Max out of hospital. Max goes home and is confronted by his dad, who has been, as you said, snooping around. He's found a flashlight from the evidence locker in Max's room, and I thought he killed him, but he doesn't kill him, does he? Because it comes back in the end.
I can't remember how he doesn't. He does shoot him. Or no, he punches him, does he? He punches him.
He punches him in the chest, but I don't. Yeah. I think it just doesn't. I think it breaks his ribs, but it doesn't actually kill him, does it?
Kill him, yeah. I think it just takes him out.
See, I wrote down kill him, but then I think I was just too quick on the pen because later he's alive. He's alive for sure. He's alive.
There's a bit earlier on with his dad as well. We've skipped over it, but this is where he's still in hospital. It's such a throwaway line, but I noted it down because I was like, that's weird. Like, so Mulder and Scully are there with the dad. And the dad's like, "Oh, my son's so ill. I don't know what's going on with him." And Scully's explaining he's got all these injuries from excessive, fatigue or whatever it is. And then Mulder just lays out the theory that he's got super speed. And the dad's like, so if he does have this, and he's like, "Whoa, hang on, you're believing this straight off?"
No concern.
Maybe he knew about this magic baseball plate with the light in the ground, and so it's not spooked. It's all coming together now.
This Cave of the Light makes a lot more sense.
But I just thought that was funny as well. I was like, anytime Mulder presents a theory to a normal human being, they're just straight away just like calling him a wacko and stuff like this. It's dad's like, yeah, it does make sense actually. It's like, what?
But he always went through life at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Now it's 200.
Let's get to the end.
Yeah.
It all culminates in this big showdown at the cave with the lights. Max needs to get back there to sort of get his powers back, or to get into the light. That's where Chastity's taking him, because obviously he's struggling to survive without them. And Tony, who has intervened himself with because obviously he followed Chastity to the cave. He's got the sheriff's gun now because he followed Max through back to his home. Confronts them basically and tries to stop him from doing anything else, from killing anybody else. He's But he gets stopped by Chastity, who then shoots Max. I'm getting confused by the three people, but basically, Chastity kills Max, and then Chastity shoots and stands in front of the bullets using the speed power.
She shoots him and herself at the same time.
And herself at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Which I thought that was again
a really cool visual.
Yeah, really cool visual, and also it's kind of like, oh, this is something they could only do in this episode. Where we get this kind of like Matrix bullet time. When did the Matrix come out? I wonder who was first. It was 1999, wasn't it?
I think it was 99. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been around the same time, but they definitely would have not have filmed it at the same time. So yeah, maybe there was. I don't know. I can't remember the studio that did it. Anyway, right. We're getting into it a bit, but yeah, we get this kind of like Matrixy kind of effect, which looks really cool. I like the effect.
I thought it was a great visual, and again, I can rag on the cave as much as I like. It was a great setting for it as well. Like, definitely. Yeah. As a final set piece, this worked. This really worked.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it sort of is this like tragic sort of teenage. It's always teenagers who have this tragic ending and stuff like that, don't they? We get Romeo and Juliet, and they're these two, the star-crossed lovers with their superpowers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting sort of ending. That she sacrifices herself to stop this guy. And it kind of just wraps up there, I suppose.
We get the explanation of like Tony gets away scot-free. I don't know how.
Yeah, somehow, yeah.
He's got all these murders on his hands, like and missing evidence and God knows what else, and he's fine. And Mulder's like, brilliant, we've got the cave now. Oh no, it's been sealed up.
Damn.
And this was a weird episode. This is gonna sound weird, especially because of how much I've like ragged on it. I actually enjoyed it for what it was. Like, I thought it was an all-right episode. It just was infuriating, those little moments where I'm just like, like we said earlier, just give me enough so I can buy in. And you know what? You don't have to give me a lot. I'll buy into a lot of stuff. Like, sci-fi, I am not the person you need to worry about when you're writing for. You tell me that a flux capacitor can make time travel possible. And I'll be like, sorted? Well, how does time travel work? That flux capacitor. Simple.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I need. I need mumbo jumbo. I need something just to buy into it. Don't just give me a light.
Yeah,
that's what I don't need. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was. I think that was the most frustrating part of the episode. And again, like you said, the way I sort of describe this episode is just average. There's like nothing bad about it. There's nothing that I would say, oh, you need to watch this episode because of it. It's kind of just like very middle of the road, which is arguably the worst thing you could say about an X-Files episode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but it just didn't feel like, it just didn't feel needed, which is a shame because up until this point, I think I've liked every one of the episodes this series so far. So I'd say this is probably, it's only 5 episodes in, but this is definitely the weakest one of this series.
Before we get into the production notes, would you say 2 weeks has improved or lessened your dislike for this episode?
I wouldn't say it's changed that much. Like, I remember at the time I felt the same. Like, I wasn't angrier or I wasn't more positive on it. I literally came away from it going, yeah, that was okay. It was an episode, you know what I mean? So, and it's sort of the more I've had to think about it, the more I just think, this is quite a skippable episode.
I think the time away has soured me on it a little bit.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you why. And you hit the nail on the head. Middle of the road is the worst thing it could be. Mm-hmm. It was forgettable.
Yeah, 100%.
I watched 2 episodes 2 weeks ago. This one and the one that we're going to talk about next week. I remember the one we're going to talk about next week a lot more.
Yeah, 100%.
And I watched them at the same time. And I just and I was like, this is my episode. This is the one I'm going to do. And I'm looking at my notes and it just felt like a foreign notes. I didn't remember that much. And the bits that I did remember molded into other episodes that I've seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
There was nothing to distinguish it. And so you're just sort of getting confused in your head. So I think that sort of made me realize that, yes, I enjoyed it. And I came away with it in my notes going, this was a good episode. I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't great, but it was fine. But now I'm looking back and I'm like, how can it be if I just forgot about it as soon as I
Yeah.
walk away?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
interesting to see how that works after a break.
Luke's production notes.
David Mann explained that the original idea for the episode was simply the effect having the power of super speed would have on troubled teens. However, the story quickly developed deeper meanings: drug abuse, boredom, and the teenage experience. According to series creator Chris Carter, the way in which to portray the teenagers on screen was tricky. He noted, it had been a long time since we had had to deal with teenage angst, but it had been done elsewhere, and we wanted to take a run at it.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, it's what we said, where it's like putting that sort of very well-known superpower into that foreign or like different, not like a different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question for you. This is just off the top of my head. Say super speed is a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is in this. So basically, imagine you could have it. You could choose to have it, right?
Yeah.
So you can get wherever you want to go within a second.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go to work, you get up and then you bang and you've gone to work. However, because of the damage it does on your body, it's still extraneous. The time that it would have took you to get to work, say an hour, you still lose that hour off your life. So you get to wherever you're going quicker. And so, like, your life is it's no travel. It's all about, like, whatever you're doing and whatever you're going to do next. But your life's a lot shorter because of it. Would you take it?
I mean, I'd probably take it and just say I'm not going to use it until I need to. You know what I mean? Like, if I was like,
that's a cop-out. Oh, I'm just going to use it for emergencies.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to use it to go to work in that case. I'll be like, no, I'll save it when, I don't know, I've got to get to... I don't know. I'm trying to think. Maybe you could just run across the sea, I suppose, and just be like, I want to go on holiday. Want to go on holiday?
I didn't say you could run across the sea.
Well, if you're fast enough, you could run across the water, wouldn't you? Like, I assume. I don't know. I don't know the physics work, to be honest.
I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use it to go to work. No, nothing stupid like that. I'd run across the sea.
I mean, there would be no better way than getting to, I don't know, if you, like, say, you want to start your trip to America and you're like, I don't want to take a however long flight, a 12-hour flight. I'm just going to get there.
Across the ocean.
Just going to leg it there. Yeah, it will have done a bit of damage to my body, but then I can just enjoy my holiday without having that, like, sort of jet lag. I guess. I don't know. You would, though, wouldn't you? So
but what I'm saying to you is it would have taken you the same amount of time. So however long it would have took you to run that amount, that's taken off your life. So how long would it take you to run to America right now? Say there's a big bridge across.
Oh, God. I don't know. It'd probably take me a few days.
I'd imagine a few weeks.
Weeks, probably,
so for this little experiment that you've taken 3 weeks off your life.
Yeah. Do you know what? I would take it. I'm going to save it all until I'm about 80, and then I'm just going to run and, like, punch, I don't know, somebody that I really don't like. What's the heart?
What a way to go. What a way to go.
I'll die at the same time as I hit them, and we'll just, like, burst like this.
What a harrowing experience for that poor individual.
I mean, it would be brief, if anything.
Punched by a flying corpse.
That sounds like a death metal band. But yeah, it's kind of, it's quite one of those Faustian deals where you get whatever you want, but it's at a massive cost. And, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? I always remember there's one. It's like you get to I can't remember what film it was in there. I think it was Bedeviled or what's the one with Brendan Fraser? Is it the one with Liz Hurley and Brendan Fraser? Idea. She's the devil, and he, like, gets to sleep with this, like, beautiful woman, but he's got, like, impotence or something like that. It's completely pointless. It's kind of that same kind of thing.
The twisted genie type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'd take it, but yeah,
I want to be a millionaire, but it's all in crypto.
They stole all my apes. Oh God. Just on that point as well, on the last one. Did you get the drug abuse angle from it? I mean, saying it out loud now, I understand it. Like, it makes sense, but I didn't get the hints of that at the time.
I picked up on it because of the way they was acting. Like, they acted like it was a come down, and I think Anthony does say at one point that it was like a rush. It felt like it was like tough to come down from.
Yeah.
But they kind of negated that with the whole it's doing damage to his body type of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which I guess is kind of like a drug abuse thing. If you're like a heroin addict, I suppose it's the same kind of thing.
I didn't see it that way. I kind of looked at it as like the damage it was doing on his body was causing him pain.
I wonder if an episode's more engaging and sort of grabs you a bit more. I wonder if you look deeper into the themes of it, and because this felt so like surface level, I kind of ignored the deeper themes of it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the case, or who knows. But anyway, yeah, those are some of the themes they mentioned. I'll just quickly get through the other one. So, according to series casting director Rick Millican, choosing actors and actresses for the episode was more difficult than usual. He explained, it was all teenagers, but this being the X-Files, we were looking for something other than the typical 90210 type kids. Millican eventually cast individuals who would play a subtle kind of evil, as well as display arrogance and vulnerability. He found Rodney Scott to be Tony, who was apparently who's famous for his roles in the Partridge Family story and for his role in Dawson's Creek. So another kind of teenagey story, I suppose, there. So
I don't know either of those shows and any other name.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Those are things that completely flown me by. While the episode relies heavily on special effects, director Robert Lieberman was able to create many of the necessary scenes simply using different camera speeds. In order to get the proper feel for the rush effects, test footage of assistant director... I apologize in advance for my... Xochi Blancmange, I think is how it's pronounced. It's Xochi. Xochi, I think.
I'm going to let you down this hole on your own.
Yeah.
What was the spelling?
Xochi.
Xochi.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. I've got this. I'm going to come to save the day.
Oh, yeah.
Xochi.
Xochi, yeah.
Well, I can't save the day because the only ones I can see is Xochitl.
No,
that's
not
going to help.
No, Xochi it is. But anyway, they were filmed at 24, 12, 6, and 3 frames per second. After filming, a digital blur effect was then added to give the shot an unfocused look. I think that's probably that scene where he was standing there and he was kind of like flickering. During the scene when the teenagers stumble into the light and receive the speed power, your favorite scene, the special effects crew shot 2 separate shots, one of the teens' bodies and one of the teens' heads rapidly flailing around. The special effects crew then pulled the heads off of the shots to feature the teens moving rapidly and using them to replace the heads on the shot of the teens' motionless bodies. This method kept their bodies in focus but allowed their heads to rapidly move. I guess it's when they sort of vibrated. Yeah.
I know exactly what this is because I have a story about how I performed this technique.
Okay.
Right. When I was like 7.
All good stories start that way. It
was a Christmas getaway, and for Christmas I got this camera, and it was like a thin, long camera. Imagine like a chocolate bar type thing.
Okay, yeah.
Like a little bit thicker, and you had like these film, like it's like a film strip that you put in, and so the pictures you'd get out of it were no more than like 3 by 5 centimeters.
Yeah,
you'd rip it off, and then you've got a little picture, and it basically works like a Polaroid. First camera I ever had, and we were going on holiday, and I realised that you didn't have to take the film out. You didn't have to like release the film once you're taking a picture. So what you could do is you could take a picture of you standing in front of the fireplace, and then take a picture of that fireplace. And if you don't move the camera, you can see through yourself because it's taken two pictures onto it. You see what I'm saying?
It's kind of like a delayed exposure kind of thing. Or
kind of, yeah, but it's like literally just like taking two photos and like one of them's with me and then one of them on top is like the background through me. So you're a ghost. Yeah. Much like what they did in this episode, like using multiple shots and like putting them on top of each other. So this family holiday, I had so many great shots of the countryside and the cottage and my family, and all of them had a ghost me.
Just ruining the pictures. Or improving them, whichever way you want to look at it.
Every single shot had a ghost me in the picture.
Do you have these pictures anywhere?
I don't. I've got no idea.
I would love to see these. I'm sure they'd be a share on Twitter kind of thing.
I'll have to ask my mom next time I see her and see whether she got them in a loft or something.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is I got there first, Chris. So
when you were 7. What year would it have been when you were 7?
Hey, imagine Mulder. Oh, God, what year? When I was 7, it'd have been 99.
What I like to think
He stole it from me.
Chris Carter was there in this holiday, let's say Cornwall, reading a newspaper. He just like lifts his newspaper down and he's like, oh, what is going on here? I saw this kid. He was doing this technique.
What an idyllic photograph you've got. But wait a minute, is that a ghost?
Oh, God. I like the stories from you as a kid. You're quite a creative child. Oh, God. Anyway. So, yeah, that's how they did that with the bodies.
We all know how to do it. You're not the only one, Chris.
Yeah. Everyone get out there and get
your Polaroid cameras out.
Polaroids.
Nice and simple. Put it in. Make sure it stays in the same place. 2 pictures. Don't let the film come out. You got your very own ghost picture, my friend.
There you go. The crew used several different styles for the bullet time scene. In order to create the shot, a matte of the bullet wound on Max's chest was combined with smoke and phony CGI bullets, according to producer Paul Rabwin. The crew tried different tracking devices for the bullet, introducing a pronounced blur effect, which was later removed in favor of a more realistic smoke pathway. The production crew had a difficult time deciding whether or not the bullet should remain at Chastity's speed as she walked towards it, or whether she should pass the bullet. The group eventually went with the latter, so I guess she's faster than the bullet. It looks better, to be honest, than if she was...
And it makes the whole... It makes it more impactful, I think.
Because she at that point, she's choosing to stand in front of it, you know what I mean? Like, she considers the time, and I think it definitely added to the effect. Stunt coordinator Danny Wesley's helped arrange the more frenetic shots, such as the scene which a lunch table kills a teacher. Executive producer Frank Spotnitz later called the scene probably one of the most horrific things we've ever done. I mean...
I would agree. I think that scene was one of the best scenes of the episode.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the best thing of the episode. I wouldn't say it's the most horrific thing they've ever done, just because of the home exists.
Yeah. But again, it's a little bit more graphic, this one. You know what I mean? Like, you see it. And I don't know. I get where he's coming from. That's all I'll say. I wouldn't necessarily say I agree, but I get where he's coming from.
Due to the violent nature of the episode and the table scene in particular, Fox's Standard and Practices Department had an issue with the series showing the impact between the table and the man. In order to comply, the impact was removed, but the rest of the scene stayed intact. Spotnitz later noted that when we take out the impact, the audience's imagination is 10 times worse.
Yeah. Again, great. Yeah.
And finally, as a comical homage at the beginning of the closing credits, one can hear the sound effect that coincides with Steve Austin's feats of strength as the Bionic Man from the $6 Million Man TV series. So I'm guessing it's that sound.
Yes, I imagine so.
I didn't hear it, if I'll be completely honest, but I wasn't listening for it. So.
No, exactly. It's not something to be honest, it's not something I'd pick up on unless you told me it was there.
Yeah, you'd have to go back now and listen.
It stinks.
Welcome to the Critic Files. What would you rate this episode?
5.5.
5.5, yeah. I gave it a 5. I feel like
middle of the road,
very middle of the road. I literally, I described it as very average, so I can't go anything other than completely in the middle with it.
Yeah,
so.
I'd agree with that. I think it's one of those. I don't think there's nothing in the episode that screams like terrible. It's just
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just middle of the road.
Yeah. The internet is quite more kind, I'd say, on the episode, with 2,712 ratings on IMDb. It gets a 7.4, which is higher than I thought. But I always find IMDb tends to be favourable to certain things. Like it has to be really bad to try to start getting like a 5, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad film, like really bad films out there that have got like a 4 on IMDb.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Because there's always that one person who'll say 10 out of 10, best film I've ever seen. It's like, what? But anyway, somebody's got it. Welcome to Dan's Twitter Corner.
We certainly do have tweets, Luke. We have a bunch of tweets. And that's because that's the only way people can communicate ever since you burst everyone's eardrums with the unfortunate lost alarm. What can only be described, what people are describing now as the event. What do you have to say for yourself after that production snafu?
Now, I've got to go on the defensive here, right? So when I did it, and I saw people tweeting, it's really, really loud. I was like, oh crap. I was like, did I not put a limiter on it? I was like, because bit of behind the curtain here, when I edit it, I put a limiter where it stops it going above a certain decibel. Like it literally cuts it off at the top. So it can't go above a certain thing. Mainly because I don't want to pop somebody's eardrums like with any like sharp like changes in the volume. So I did that. I thought I did that, and I was like, "Oh crap! I must have not done it for that effect because I added that last." I was like, "Oh, maybe I forgot to do that." Look back, it was the same volume. Believe it or not, it's the same volume as everything else in the episode. But I think it's just because it's a siren, it sounds so much louder because it's a fuller kind of like peak. This is weird, like musical thing. So when you see like the waveform of it, it just stays completely solid. So I think it's that. So yeah, I might just need to knock it down a little bit, which I will do. I am sorry about that.
What you're getting here, ladies and gentlemen, is he's using technical jargon to try and distract you from the damage that he has done to your ears.
It's all right. They can't hear me now, so it's fine.
I hadn't listened to the episode, and I just had. I'm not even going to mention the tweets because everyone tweeted just various gifs of like ears and like ow and screams and just like generally turn it down.
I got text messages as well from Jem and Dean. We're both like, "What the hell was that?" There's sometimes where you have a good idea and it just doesn't pan out, so,
I, for one, stand with our audience. This kind of quality snafu should not be tolerated.
I thought you were going to stand with me.
Thank you, everyone, for letting us know. We appreciate it. Won't happen again. I thought you were going to
stand with me then.
I am never standing with you. This is the one time I get to be the good guy on this podcast.
I even apologized.
Kathy did get in touch with regards to the last episode, quoting myself. Does this count? It was a New Year's kiss. Does it count? Checks is all of us. I'm glad I'm not in the minority there. That was bothering me as to whether I should be able to count this as a kiss or not. I did have a genuine worry as to whether we was going to be one or two ways, whether we was going to treat this as the first kiss, and then everyone was going to come back to us and say, well, no, this wasn't the first kiss, this was a New Year's kiss. Or we wasn't going to put enough emphasis on it, and everyone was going to go, I can't believe you just ditched the first kiss, because I just couldn't figure it out, whether it was like big or not, or whether it was bigger than it needed to be. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's the first time, because we've had these, like, as we said in the episode, we've had these sort of near misses all this time. So I think them actually kissing, whether it's New Year's or not, it has to be significant. But there is also that doubt of everybody here going, is this the one? Is like, you know, I think it's because we've had these like near misses that we're so like
the New Year aspect of it. That's the key for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Ray got in touch as well. Glad you enjoyed Hungry. It's one of my favourite Monster of the Week episodes. On the movie Return to Me, which we mentioned, which I believe was David Duchovny.
Yes, yeah. When we were going through his IMDb or whatever.
Yes. She said, please watch it. Highly recommended. It's funny, romantic, and just the sweetest. Would love to hear a male's POV on that one. I am down to review it if you are, Luke. Like,
I think it's definitely we've sort of said that we struggled with like our Christmas episode because like the traditional Christmas episodes never fall on Christmas, so it's hard for us to do. But like I think as a Christmas episode that, or like so a special episode or something like that would work well. I think
we can definitely sort something out for you, right? So keep your ears to the ground on that one, but not too close because Luke might make an alarm sound
throughout the entire of it.
Last one I'll get to this week was Green Elf Oz said, hey, check, sorry your favour's dead. I assume he's on about Fowley there. Scully would have pulverised Fowley. You're just embarrassing yourself now. I don't like this.
I forgot that we asked who would beat him some the other fight. What a question.
I can't believe that my authority on Fowley versus Scully is being questioned right now. Fowley 100% wins all the time, like every single time.
But Scully has got that military background, you know what I mean? Like she's grew up around the military boys. She knows how to, she could probably break a man's neck just by like, that one move.
Most fights, 95% of fights end on the floor within the first 6 seconds, should I say. Fowley's just beating down. I don't care what you say.
Where did you get these stats? You're just coming at me with numbers.
Luke, sorry, we don't have time for your argument. So I've got to continue reading this tweet. Also, they say Skinner and Mulder and Krychek is a popular fanfic trope, but they don't fight. So that is one that we will just have to keep on mulling over and over again. But it's Skinner. Like, I don't know why we're still talking about this. It's Skinner.
I like the insinuation that they don't fight. It says everything that you need to know. What is it? Fanfic always goes to that place, doesn't it?
I find fanfic tends to go towards it tends to be more either who would beat who, or tends to be making like straight characters gay.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that? Like, especially, maybe that's more anime, I'm not sure.
I remember there was like a big trend of anime, like, it was always like the characters,
where just finding like, so it's usually like, for example, I will use Star Wars. Yeah. If there was fanfic in Star Wars, it would be like Leia keeps getting in the way of Luke and Han trying to sort of like secretly pass love messages and stuff like that. That's the sort of fanfic you'd get. That's what I've seen anyway.
Traditionally,
awesome. Like a lot of it's cool, like really cool.
Maybe we should write our own fanfic.
I'm sorry for just your metal sheets. Everyone's ears okay. Everyone's ears okay. That's a quick check.
It's not Everyone just me. Check your ears.
Check your volume. Everyone okay? Good. We're good to carry on. Let's finish this episode now before we damage anybody else.
I like how you're dodging my insinuation. We should write some X-Files fanfic. That should be our next thing.
I'm down.
We that could be our other special.
Okay, you do the fight one. Let's do it by the end of this season. We're going to make promises we can't keep now. By the end of the season, I want a page from you of an awesome fight between Krychek, Mulder, and Skinner, and however that plays out.
Okay.
And I will do a page on Scully getting in the way of a budding romance between Skinner and Mulder.
Okay, yeah.
Should we do that?
I feel like this is going to be terrible, but also amazing.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna get away from tonight.
Yeah, probably same. I'll have it done by next week.
Right, this episode has been a long one, guys. We're going to get out of here. We're going to be back next week for Luke.
The Goldberg variant, or variation. Sorry, not
Goldberg
variant.
variation.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you there. Please feel free to give us a tweet at Most Unwanted Pod on Twitter. And yeah, we'll see you next week.